think we need to solve each other. We need to treat each other right first and foremost, and then after that, the bigger, deeper questions we can probe without a gun to our head, so to speak, of self-made pain and all of that. So I just think we ought to first take care of each other, then work out whether or not there's a God. Till then, doesn't seem like the thing to work on.
Does it seem likely to you that we're just going to take care of each other?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all that.
Say all we need to do is take care of each other and have a vested interest in each other's success. Does it seem likely that that's even possible for us to do?
Well, I don't think we do it. I think that some people do it, and I think more people could do it. And I think that if more people did it, that it would happen more. And if less people did it, it would happen less. But it's up to people. That's the common thread. So I think we could choose to,
Do
and
you have a
certainly make
vested interest in my success?
What's that?
Do you have a vested interest in my success?
I do. Yeah. We swim in the same pond.
How? Like, how are you doing that?
Well, this first, you know.
Hylas, he's actually very active in promoting this concept and being empowered and empowering other people to participate if they'd like to. Joe does a lot of
attention whoring is one way of saying it.
Yeah, when you're asking these questions, it almost sounds like it's a pessimism about it, as opposed to the a notion of maybe wanting to, huh? Well, that was me passing judgment, without. I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Hi, Liz. I was waiting for you to talk.
Oh, I was asking you. You talking about me with the pessimism?
Was I talking about you, Hylas? I was talking about how I interpreted what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like
I can understand that. Yeah.
Maybe it's reasonable to be pessimistic about something that's so really sounds out of the ordinary. But as you investigated, it makes a lot of sense. As I've become more familiar, it makes a lot of sense.
Well, I don't see a problem with saying that we should take care of each other and all that. That's all fine and good to me.
Good.
I just don't think people do. I mean, obviously, right? Like, I don't care if you guys succeed. How am I going to do that? You're not me.
Why do you think people don't do that?
Because we see each other as separate. Because we have egos. We see ourselves as enclosed, isolated atoms.
What about separateness makes it apparent to you? Wait a second. What am I trying to say? What about separateness disqualifies us or makes it difficult to help each other? We probably were more separate in the past because now with social media we connect in ways that we've never been able to.
No. That's not true.
Okay? How is that not true? You and I are talking now, but without social media, if we're in different places of the world, chances are we're not talking now.
Yeah, but we're not connected. I don't extend my personal boundaries to you, and you don't extend your personal boundaries to me.
We don't
Whereas
need
in the
to
past
do that.
they did that. A lot of communities had no word for I. Okay, but a lot of communities had no word for I. They saw themselves as part of that community, literally. And they saw themselves in that community. That was their identity. So they literally drew personal boundaries to everyone in that community.
Right, because they had a physical proximity. Excuse me, a physical proximity to one another. If without that physical proximity,
it's not just. It's a blood tie. It's the basis of all social bonds. Blood tie.
Well, I have no idea. I'm not familiar with what you're talking about.
Blood ties. Family. It's an institution ever created.
More people have died in the name of pseudo kinship than they have in the name of family and blood. I don't think. I mean, I know that people talk that way, but they don't behave that way.
Talking about in the past. That's where we all come from.
All right. Well, let's make the future then.
World of animism, blood ties.
Yeah, that's
shamanism.
That's fair. So do you think that continuing with that kind of a mindset is going to take us effectively into the future?
You broke up, Joe.
We're going into the future right now.
Hylas, would you like the future to be different than the past, or no? I think you froze. Oh, he's back, I think.
Love is the answer.
I don't totally disagree with
the key.
Hylas, would you like to see the future better than the past, or different than the past?
Excuse me?
When you were saying we all come from the past, are you satisfied with it, with history? Would you like us to improve on history? Would you like us to improve on history?
No.
No. Okay. Well, I'm not sure how that's a good thing, though. But
it's all right. So Okay. So you stay where you are. So what do you think, Eric?
I think that history is a great foundation for us to build off of, and I don't think that there's any rule or law that keeps people from helping each other out. I think that there's nothing but new opportunity, and that interacting with people as we now can from all over the world at the same time and in real time is a resource that has never been available to us before.
I agree, and I don't think that's claptrap or Pollyanna either. I think that the same way that children grow up and extend their notion of community from themselves to the wider sphere of social relationships, that as a planet we're doing the same thing. And social media is part of the driver there, I think.
I think one of the best things we can do is say to people, is there anything that I can do for you? And we don't do that very often. And when we do it, we show empathy. And we connect.
Somewhat. I do think that Hylas has a point about a lot of people dragging the past into the present and trying to project it into the future, that there is that. But I also think that the same way a child grows up and understands a wider social horizon and is able to navigate in that, where they do something of value and receive something of value, that mankind has to recognize that we're part of the body of life, and we need to strengthen the things that nourish us, which means we need to cultivate good relationships, not only between ourselves, but with the rest of the life forms that we depend on and are part of. So that's my perspective.
What is the body of life?
Well, it's just all the different life forms on Earth. I'm not trying to speak of some mystical thing. I'm saying that we have, for instance, we have little microbes that live in our belly that if we didn't have them, we wouldn't be able to digest our food and we would die. So those things we need to take care of. We need to make sure that they get what they need, and they'll give us what we need. Plants give us carbohydrates and oxygen. We give them CO2 and nitrates. That sort of thing.
What makes you
ever read
feel
Murray
alive?
Bookchin?
I'm sorry.
You ever read Murray Bookchin before?
I don't. Can you write it in the side chat? I can't make out the word.
It was Murray something. I couldn't hear it either.
So what makes you feel alive?
What makes me what about it?
What makes you feel alive, Joe?
Well, I like. What makes me feel most alive is when we get it. When I can be in a social environment where I know that I matter, and the people that are around me matter to me. So that lights me up. It's where I belong. In other words, where I feel like I belong, and it's a reality, because you could have people that love you, but if you're not open to be loved, then that's a problem. So that's the same like type 2 diabetes, where you produce the right amount of insulin, but your cells don't receive it. So those kind of situations hurt. But also, you could be doing all sorts of things to love, and there's nowhere for it to be received. That's frustrating too. So it's a balance of community. That's what lights me up.
I was asking if you ever read Murray Bookchin before.
See, right. Hearing Bookchin, I'm going to type it in the side chat.
Murray
Mike,
Bookchin.
can I answer your question also? Oh, there it is. Oh. Mike, can I answer the question also? I don't think he's there. Or Bookchin.
No, but I'm curious though. I'm gonna look it up.
Wonder if it's on Scribd. If it's on Scribd, I can get it for free.
It's rare.
Okay.
Oh, I think my niece worked with him. These guys ringing a bell, and I could be wrong, but yes, I have heard of him. Did he live like up in like Rochester or something like that, up in upstate New York or wherever?
Oh, there's a bunch. There's some interesting stuff.
Yes, I am familiar with Murray.
What was the title of the book?
It's called The Ecology of Freedom. Yeah, my niece worked with him.
I see a bunch of stuff, but not that one.
Yeah, I'll send it to you when I get it.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anarchy, Geography, Modernity, I see. Living Spirit of Revolt. You know what? You know what, Hylas? I have a book for you. Have you ever heard of Paulo Freire? Freire? Chat.
No, I haven't.
Okay, I'm gonna put the book title in the chat. It's free online. And I can get you the exact link to the PDF if you'd like.
I appreciate it.
Sure, I'll do it right now. And what do you know, Hylas? We helped each other out.
Hi, Les. How you doing today, brother? Hope everything's well in your world.
He's a sharp guy. He's interesting.
But he's
Alright.
my sworn enemy.
What?
I'll
He's
be
my
back.
sworn enemy, or I'm his sworn enemy, or something.
All right, there you guys. There you go. And the book is something that you may all enjoy. I just posted a link to a free book online that was written by an activist from, I think, born in Argentina or Venezuela, who went to Brazil and decided to try and teach the workers how to read and write, and ended up in prison for it. And he became known for his by his efforts to end oppression through education. It's a wonderful, wonderful book.
I'm bookmarking it right now.
Yeah, it's free online. You can just get the PDF. Just if you.
I seem to be really prone to contracting viruses in this computer, so
Oh, okay. I have a Mac, so I don't know if.
I'm just gonna stick with reading it online, because if I
Would you like me to send the just the file to you?
yeah, I am at the website where it is now, so I can just read it online.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But as virus prone as my computer is, I'm afraid that I would have to do a restore and the file.
Those zombies! I'm telling you, it's those damn zombies again.
Yeah. Viral zombies.
I know.
Mm.
Michael, I don't know who that is. But I have panache, just ask Joe, he knows.
Panache?
I like that word. Chutzpah. It's like chutzpah.
Chutzpah.
Pinage Desai.
Who is that?
That's his name.
Is he an author?
One of the greatest teachers of our time right now. Is
You know
Pinage
what?
Desai.
I'm going to look him up then. Thank you.
He is still worth your time.
Huh?
He
It's
is
well worth
still
my
worth
time?
your time.
Okay, I will.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Very much appreciated. There we go. Very cool.
Why do you say that, Michael? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Breaking up just a little bit, but not bad.
Yeah, I'm in a coffee shop right now, so I'm trying not to be crazy.
Will you order me a latte?
I would if you were here.
Okay.
No
Next
problem.
time.
I'd like a chai.
Chai tea?
I bet you would.
Yeah.
Ice?
Tai Chi.
Joe, we're taking orders here.
Exercise.
The subject that he teaches is probably not something that I'm real interested in.
What does he teach?
He's an energy worker.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's
It's-
God and all that.
Manipulates energy. But I think he's worth anyone having a look at.
Yeah, I'll
So-
definitely have a look. I definitely will. Thank you. Very much appreciated.
So he has some sort of psychic power.
What I made.
Mm-mm.
He believes that he is connected to divine energy.
Like
And
Reiki.
believes that he has the deeper than Reiki. He has the power to heal, and he also has he's kind of a tuning fork, and he can raise the vibration in you, just like the herb that you're using right now. Works the same way.
Is he enlightened? Is he enlightened?
Yep.
Sounds like it.
Absolutely, he's enlightened. He is the real deal. He is not in pursuit. He is there.
What makes you say that?
Where most people, I've met him, and he's pretty cool.
Well, how do you recognize that in someone?
The ability to change the vibration of.
Shit, you're breaking up, Michael.
I'm not a big fan of anybody who's mysterious.
I like your bird.
Everybody likes my bird. He likes you, Seamus.
Seamus.
Yeah.
Are you Celtic?
No. He came with the name.
Don't we all?
And
Indeed.
Hey, Knucklehead. What are you doing? Come here. Come here. Come here and see me, honey. Come on. Come on. Oh, good girl. Come on, good girl. Oh, I know. Oh. No, you are good. You're very tired. Doesn't
So,
sound
Joe, what brings you joy?
I really like people that do their best to be authentic. I don't expect them to be correct or anything, but if you can authentically bring some kind of thing that you feel like is of value and your aim is to give it, then that lights me up.
Mhm. Yeah, well, the thing is, I go through life with that aim, and nobody wants to take what I'm trying to give. So,
What are you trying to give?
well, I'm more trying to sell it at this point. I do tarot card readings.
Nice.
And I'm basically, I don't really know that I want to be a professional reader, but, I built a whole website, and Google has changed the way their spiders crawl so that the search engine optimization writing I've been doing does not actually attract hits to my website.
What's your take on the Death Horse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loretta,
Yo,
what's your take on the Death Horse?
take a what?
What is your take on the Death Horse, the Death card?
The death card?
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, I think it's the most positive card in the deck, actually, and it's also the one that scares the bejeebers out of people.
Why is that?
because death, you know, they don't get the, a lot of people don't get the concept of something in your life has to die in order to make room for something new to grow.
What is the, how do I say this? What is the picture on your death card?
Which death?
Is it the skeleton on the horse?
I have a couple of those, yeah. I have, oh god, I have like 20 some odd decks, so, you know, the death card is different on every one of them.
You have Crowley's deck?
Yes, I do.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask if you're how is your website your only strategy for like attracting customers?
Well, I have a Facebook page that doesn't seem to be attracting any attention.
You go to festivals and stuff?
No. I don't drive, so I wouldn't really have a way of getting places. I mean, there's an annual festival in Salem, and I suppose I could, but you know, then I would have to pay for the space rent, which is like really difficult to do on a disability income. But right now, the few clients I have, I'm actively asking for referrals and haven't gotten any.
Right.
But that's kind of the story of my life. Whatever skills I possess, nobody wants them for some reason.
The winds of change are coming, though. I see goodness coming around the corner.
Yeah, don't put Jefferson Starship lyrics in my head.
It's happening.
Mm-hmm.
The process is already started. I can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Just believe. Let go of the fear. The fear is everything.
Fear is therapeutic. Oh, God. So I lost my lapis lazuli pendulum, which I actually had been sleeping with it on my bed beside my pillow so it could soak up my vibes. And it just disappeared the other night. I tore my room apart, tore my bed apart, crawled around on the floor, moved things. It's gone. But I had ordered a piece of tumbled lapis to use as basically a meditation stone, a meditation crystal. And I got it, and it was sort of in the shape of an elongated pyramid, so I made a new one. I just got the crystal today, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I have a pendulum again. When I find the old one will turn up eventually, probably now that I have the new one that I made myself, and I think I'll probably just make a necklace now. It's actually a faceted cut stone. This is a natural tumbled stone. It's just naturally exactly the right shape, so.
So why do you say the death card is positive?
I already explained that to you. Because basically it means that your way of life is dying, and when it does, there's going to be a renewal, a rebirth. You know, you can't have rebirth without death.
Where did you hear that?
Well, it's meant to symbolize change more than literal death.
Mm.
Yeah, where did you hear that?
Okay.
Hello?
Well, I heard it from, I guess, my mother doing tarot readings.
I can't imagine why she doesn't get any customers.
Yeah, me neither, huh?
That's just mystery.
So Nadia, you're into tarot cards?
No, I don't believe in it. But
I didn't ask. Didn't you say something about a thing?
yeah, I said my mother did them.
You did what in them? I'm sorry.
I think
My mother did tarot cards.
Oh, I see.
If I can use a vulgar phrase, I of course think they're a crock of shit.
You think the cards themselves are a crock of shit?
In a way, yeah, and of course the idea that you learn anything meaningful by, yeah, the idea that you learn anything meaningful by shuffling the cards and laying them out.
Yeah, that's pretty retarded. But then again, fate has its way of making things happen.
Well, I believe more in cause and effect than fate per se.
What's the difference?
Fate, fate, fate implies more teleology than is actually the case.
Well, there doesn't have to be an end for there to be a plan.
A plan implies intention, intelligence, and so on, that are not the case.
You should?
Well, look at how stupidly the body is designed. In squid, the optic nerve just goes behind the retina. In humans, well, stupidly, it goes in front. Of course, trachea and esophagus meet in the throat, which is ridiculous. It's clear that better design would separate the two so you don't choke. So on and so forth. Bird lungs are better. Blah, blah, blah.
I don't see your point.
Well, if there were intention, design wouldn't be stupid.
You believe in evolution, right?
To the extent these things are designed, they're designed stupidly.
Believe in evolution?
Well, it's one example. You can obviously look at quite a bit more. You have to have a moon to keep a planet out of tidal lock, active core and tectonics to keep the magnetic field going so the atmosphere doesn't blow away, and of course sitting in the Goldilocks zone. So the vast majority of stars, or you also have to be far enough away from the galactic center not to get irradiated, and so on and so forth. So the vast majority of I guess planets and solar systems and regions of galaxies and so on are a waste of space. And it goes on and on. If there were
I like
intelligence behind it, it wouldn't be that stupid.
Hello.
This is actually the thrust of a lecture Neil deGrasse Tyson gave.
I see. Yeah,
He's
a lot of
famous
things like
astronomer.
that.
He recently, I think, narrated a new version or remake of Cosmos.
So you tend to listen to those guys, Carl Sagan and Neil?
I am not big on cults of personality, but I am aware of, well, who said what in various contexts, and, well,
But
so
you
that
agree with
lecture
them,
I'm aware
right?
of. I'm sorry?
You agree
I'm
with
sorry?
them, don't you?
I agree with them, not on everything. If they make a good point, I'll cite it.
Would you say, generally speaking, Nadia, that you take a cause and effect bias to your perspective as opposed to something mystical, or if I'm characterizing an alternative acceptably?
Yeah, I would absolutely not subscribe to mysticism of any sort.
Right.
Or spirituality.
So there you go.
One instance of how far I reject it might be that I have become a fan of the Churchlands. Patricia and whatever her husband's name is, Churchland, who are, well, eliminated materialists and have answers to the hard problem of consciousness, like, well, consciousness is an ill-posed concept, and to the extent it represents anything more than wakefulness and torpor, it doesn't represent anything well-posed. Free will, of course, is ridiculous. And, well, the answer to why aren't we all philosophical zombies is we are philosophical zombies.
I had the pleasure of meeting her one time.
Oh, how did that go?
Good. She's a sweetheart. She's straightforward, no bones about it kind of gal.
I would have assumed, I would have thought if she was really a zombie, she would have tried to bite your face off or something. Or is that not appropriate for philosophical zombies?
Philosophical zombies simply have the idea that they lack subjective inner experience and things like free will, consciousness, and so on, but otherwise are externally indistinguishable from, or behaviorally indistinguishable from a normal human.
So not the same thing as an automaton, then?
Well, not entirely, no, but my favorite way to describe people is as chemically robotic wind-up toys.
Yes, I would agree with that. My spring is quickly unwinding.
Okay, that was called.
If you're getting any spare time around the weekend, Carlton, please do send me more info on the things we should pursue offline.
I'll do that later today after I have a bite to eat.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, dear.
What do you mean your spring is unwinding? You're getting bored?
I was just saying if we're chemical wind-up toys, I'm getting old. My spring is about out of energy.
Yes, apoptosis and telomere degeneration and so on. Not to mention affairs like nerves not really undergoing mitotic reproduction and so on. All pose limitations on our lifetimes. They essentially make us out to be very much like wind-up toys.
Well, it's funny you say
that. Those various springs wind down. Sorry?
There was a guy that I read, and I don't remember his name, but he proposed this idea, which seems to make sense to me. He says that medical science is fundamentally flawed in their goals because they are trying to solve a huge number of illnesses or diseases, right? Going in a million different directions to do that. And he said when realistically, he said cells die for one of 7 reasons. There are only 7 reasons that cells die. And he says if we could focus our resources on eliminating those 7 reasons, he said then all diseases would ultimately go away. They would have no power over us anymore. And so he says we should be refocusing our research on those causes for cell death and really treat the individual diseases that we're chasing now as more as symptoms and not as an actual problem to be solved.
Yeah,
there are times when cells don't die,
okay.
when cancer is caused. So that's what happens when cells don't die. They turn into cancerous cells. That's all it means, cancer. It just means those cells don't die.
Well, not entirely. There's the notion of malignancy and beyond the failure of apoptosis. And I think, well, I couldn't rattle off entirely, but I know autoimmunity is going to be one of those reasons. And it doesn't correspond to something like the natural aging process. Some others, of course, are injury, which I highly suspect are not so easily accounted for. And particularly because you can have injuries from things like heavy metal poisoning or iodine or whatever. Say you accidentally ingest too much iodine or something and you kill off your thyroid. Or what is it? Lead poisoning does bad things to the brain. The brain diseases, or say things like schizophrenia, also don't easily represent anything on the order of cell death. So I'm a little bit skeptical, but. Is it, well, does my voice sound better when it's not tired?
Yes.
Yeah, part of the point of, well, so many hours on this was to build up endurance, but, well, now that, or the past week or so, I've been, well, going out on foot more for various reasons. And, well, not so many hours on the Hangouts. And my voice is less tired, so, yeah.
For what it's worth,
What's that?
voice sound fine all the time, so. But I may not be the appropriate judge of that.
Well, it would be more of the how feminine it sounds.
Yeah, I know what you're going for. It's in other words, if I didn't know, I wouldn't know. But then again, that's me. I'm not everybody, so I don't know. So sounds wonderfully good, fine to me. So that's it.
So we had more to do with tarot readings. Like, well, have any of you dealt with it or been around it?
My sister does it part of her living. I'm pretty familiar with them, but I agree with you. It's what did you call it? A load of shit or a crock of shit?
Yeah.
It may not be, but I think it is. Crock of shit.
I think it'd be more interesting to play that game kind of like Bridge or whatever, instead of actually having to do divination still.
Right.
Which card represented you? If your sister ever did any readings on you?
She would not dare.
She would not dare?
No.
Well, they used to use, I think it was the King of Swords. I guess I'd be the Queen of Swords now.
Yeah, well, she may have mentioned stuff like that to me, but whenever she goes into second mode, my eyes glaze over and my ears clog up and I can't hear what she says. She may have mentioned something I didn't know.
What are the other ones, like the... You're not really supposed to use major arcana for people.
Yeah, that's like saying the third chapter of the second book in the Harry Potter series, otherwise it might rain that day. Nonsense.
I know the pattern that you're supposed to lay the card out in, or cards out in, and the order you do it in, but what all the silly stuff means, I have no idea.
Yeah, and look, I'm not discounting it. I'm just saying it sounds like food, and I could be wrong. I've been wrong about a lot of stuff. It just seems like junk.
They're playing cards. I mean, it's with a couple extra suits or something, or one extra suit.
Yeah, that people give more credence to it. That's all.
What do they have, like opening a random page to I Ching, or?
Right.
Chicken bones, tea leaves.
Right. I like the movie Willow. I think it was, or the wizards. Follow the bones. Ignore the bones. Ignore the bird. Follow the river. You know, he had a specific goal in mind. And then whatever he was doing to divine it was, amazingly enough, equaled what he wanted them to do anyway. So.
Yeah. I think, well, a lot of prophecy is either like that or, well, made up after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah. There's bowl tipping and all sorts of junk. So.
So you guys think all there is what you see?
I think what we see is enough to deal with right now, and if there is more than that, we'll deal with it when we see it. Why would we deal with things we can't see?
Well, if the buck stopped there, why would you call it all nonsense?
I said from my perspective it is. I also said I could be wrong.
But why is that your perspective? If you admit it's incomplete.
Well, that is the complete perspective. I don't use it as an axiom to govern my life, and so therefore it's outside. But I want to be open to.
Are you sure? You don't repeat things to yourself when you reach a bit of trouble? Having little emotional complexity and you're confused, you don't say to yourself, it's all nothing?
I don't know what that means. Did you say something that made sense?
Well, I mean, I think there are some pretty good reasons not to believe in all these things. One is that there's some idea of how, well, how things work, what causes and effects are actually, well, causing and affecting what, and those things don't leave any room, much room, if any at all, for anything supernatural like this. And for instance, playing cards. Your fate as human interpretation would view it is rather clearly not very influential with playing cards. Whether you're eventually going to, well, come into wealth or power or love or whatever, it has a lot to do with social, physical, financial, circumstantial, historical, and, well, formative affairs, and not a great deal to do with how you shuffle cards and the pattern that you lay them out in. So from that point of view, you can pretty much say tarot's garbage. And you were going to say?
But didn't you say earlier that there's no free will and everything is just cause and effect?
Pretty much, yeah.
So you don't believe in chance?
There are random events that do figure into things, and they are, well, truly random. So they are themselves outside of any like control. Radioactive decay, quantum vacuum fluctuations, and so on.
And how do you predict it?
Probabilistically. You have the probability density of the position of a particle and so on.
You do understand that in physics, probability is definite.
There's no contradiction or controversial aspect of this.
What I'm getting at is how you shuffle those cards. If it's predetermined what your behavior is, then it's irreversibly linked to your behavior and your future and your fate.
The last I heard was and your future and your fate.
That's all I said. It's everything that happens is connected, right? I mean, this is obvious. It's a fact. So, the way you shuffle the cards is part of the movement that you're part of your entire life and your death.
The causal connections are lacking between the outcome of the card shuffle and the outcome of one's life.
Not lacking at all.
They're not lacking at all. According to you? Okay, so how...
It's a fact.
How does one's future life outcome determine the outcome of a tarot card shuffle?
It's well known that in quantum mechanics, we've calculated that the future can determine the past and the present.
I would say that's a violation of causality.
So would Einstein. But you do realize there is no way out of it. We've observed these things. It's empirical. There's no going back now to the world of Newtonian mechanics. It's dead.
Well, my understanding of what quantum mechanics says is not quite like that.
Well, I don't know where you got your understanding from. There are two main interpretations of quantum mechanics, and neither one of them are, how shall we say, causally rooted. I don't know, in the sense of chronological causality. That doesn't really necessarily apply.
Well, I don't know. From my perspective, there might be mysterious stuff that steers our life, but I can't see it, and so I can't. I'm not going to preoccupy myself with floating around in areas that you can't, that have no predictability whatsoever. So I don't discount those things. I just think they're irrelevant.
So are you saying you have no concern for truth? You have only concern for what's useful?
Apologize.
I'm just saying, if I perceive that something is voodoo-y and unpredictable, then I can't use it as a tool for navigation. That's all.
If something gives you a bad taste in your mouth, you dismiss it?
Well, that's not the way I characterized it. I just said it's irrelevant. It doesn't.
You're not giving any context, though. What is it irrelevant to?
irrelevant to my life.
Oh?
Yeah.
Were you guys raised Christian?
I was. Yeah, that's a tough question. I mean, I was raised in where religion was part of a tacit part of people's lives, nothing serious or fundamental or anything like that. How about you?
Sure.
You were brought up in a similar environment where it's around, but it's not necessarily in your face and at the dinner table and Wednesday evenings and all of that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's about right.
How you doing, Rob?
Good, mate. You?
I'm doing all right.
Sure. That's you, Joe.
Why, yes, it is.
What's up?
Oh, not too awful much. I see you've been in a fruitless quest for Nephilim.
Yeah, well, I keep trying. He won't come and talk to me. Never mind. We'll battle on. I'm thinking of starting up a new approach. Say no to Islam and yes to Jesus. That's my latest thing.
What for
Are you
Jesus?
joking?
No, I'm not. I'm actually quite serious. But I've got a different spin on it that might sort of take people, well, hopefully. We'll see anyway. Morning all. Hey Reuben, how are you?
So let me get this straight. You're seriously saying say no to Islam?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's a big problem for our world. Major one.
see.
Always has been, actually. I mean, if you look at its history, it's just got death and mayhem follow it everywhere. So it's no good. Islam's bad.
And Christianity has just peace and order in its
Oh,
way?
no, that's what I mean about a different spin. So I don't hold with Christianity either. I hold the view that Jesus was a real person, but he was, he's not the Christian story. That's a Roman story. But you have to put certain things aside and pick your priorities. So the priority, I think, for the world at the moment is really to find a unity around anti-Islam, because that's the major threat at the minute, globally.
Oh my fucking god.
What?
Are
What's
you
your problem?
trolling?
Hey? What did you say? What did you say?
Yeah.
I said, are you trolling?
No, and that annoys me, that comment, that trolling. That's a real cop-out, you know. If you want to challenge my position, buddy, get off your butt and listen to what I'm saying and then pick it apart logically. But that trolling, that's a cop-out. That's a weak-ass comment, mate.
I say I need to somehow get myself through med school and become the third doctor who repairs the victims of female genital mutilation.
Oh, Nadia.
There are only 2 in the world right now.
What's that? Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Doctors who repair victims of female genital mutilation.
All right. Okay. Well, you know, that sounds like a good project, but I assume you've got a lot of work and study to do. But go for it. I mean, you know, if you're serious about it.
It's a pipe dream.
Oh, okay. Well, start the dream.
I'm not that far from 40.
Yeah. So
I'll be dead before I get to it.
Well, me too. I'm 60 and I'll probably be dead before I get to my little agendas, but doesn't put me off. You got to have a crack at stuff, you know.
Do you really want me to like destroy your position logically? Like, are you sure your ego can handle that?
Yeah. Go ahead, buddy. Way you go. Let's hear it.
I'll embarrass you. I promise you, I will.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see it. Let's see what you got.
First of all, you want a worldwide unity of anti-Islam? You do realize that like 1/6 of the world at least is Muslim?
Yeah.
How is that possible? You gonna kill them all? What are you gonna do?
No, it's not about killing people at all. It's actually just
about... Then how do you get rid of it? How are you gonna convince Muslims that everything is fine and good and divine and noble in this world is somehow wrong? How are you gonna convince them of that?
Listen, mate. Ask one question. Allow me to answer. Right? That's the way a good discussion goes. Do you understand that? No good smiling, buddy. Do you understand that? Ask one question, get one answer, and then ask your next question. Do you understand that?
Are you trolling?
There you go again. You're pathetic. Ask your questions. Your proposition is this. You said you're going to destroy my argument. Well, let's get into that discussion, right? And let's do this logically. You think that you're a rational human being with a lot of intelligence. Let's prove that point. I think that you're full of bullshit, mate, actually, to tell you the truth. But let's have that discussion.
You ever,
so where you go. No, you made an assertion, right? You reckon that you could destroy my premise. So let's get to it. Let's have that discussion. So where you go, mate?
Okay, here's the first question.
Okay, good.
You said the premise. What is the premise for your argument?
Okay, so here's
what are you basing it on?
Wait a minute. Listen carefully. Ask one question, listen to the answer. Then ask your follow-up question. Do we have an agreement?
I did ask one question.
Well, what was it? Let's hear it again.
I said, what is the premise for your argument?
All right, well, stop there and let me answer that question and don't interrupt. Right, so the premise for my argument is that Islam is in fact a false religion. It was created, and what I'll bring to bear to back that up is the fact that the Book of Daniel was written at 160 BC. So therefore, and it was very much a concoction by the Maccabees, who won the battle, the Maccabean revolt, and they did that for a very prescriptive reason. What they were doing was they were trying to build a case to lure back all the Hellenized Jews. So if that's true, or if that can be proven to be true, what that means is that there's no such thing as an angel Gabriel. So who the heck was Muhammad speaking to in the cave? But further to that, if we actually look at Islam and its roots, what we find is that there's a Pharisee or a Jew that comes across and is known as a companion to Muhammad. Well, what I say is that that particular individual coached Muhammad in creating Islam, and that it's a fundamentally flawed religion. Well, it has no basis in reality, basically. They just made it up. Further to that, there's a guy called Dr. Bill Warner. He runs a site called Political Islam. And he's done a lot of the legwork in terms of the research that really shows Islam for the flawed religion that it is. So I intend to try and bring his videos to a wider market and just explore Islam in depth, but not to hurt Muslims, more to the point, because they're just ordinary folks like you and I. Just so happens that they've fallen into the wrong belief. So what I want to try and do is convince them that it is a problem. And sure, it's a long journey, but, you know, that's what I'm going to do. So that's my premise. Away you go. Your turn, mate.
Okay, so basically, your premise for the argument of Islam is wrong.
Yes.
That's the argument. That's the conclusion, right? Islam is wrong. Your premise is Islam is wrong.
Correct. Well, it's false.
That is not how logic works exactly, but okay.
Well, no, I gave you some reasons. There's more than that, but I gave you some.
You gave me nothing. You gave me some anecdotes. You gave me some opinions. You gave me some what ifs.
No.
Yes, you did. That's what you did.
Well,
come on now.
I'll give you a link to my book. So I've written a whole book.
Oh, a book.
Yeah. So you can go and
you
read.
do realize that I didn't even have to destroy your position because you destroyed it yourself. You basically said it has no premise.
No, I didn't. That's your assumption. What's your evidence for that claim?
Well, like 30, 45 seconds ago, I think everyone would agree it's empirically verified that when I asked you, is the premise for your conclusion the same thing as your fucking conclusion? And you said, yes, it is. With no qualms about it. I mean, like, good game.
So what's that mean? That means nothing to me. What are you saying? You're just talking words.
I'm saying your entire argument is illogical.
No, that's your view, but I'm saying it's not. And the evidence. Wait a minute.
Logic.
Sorry, what is it? What is it?
I said it's formal logic.
Do you know what logic is? Explain logic to me. I don't think you understand it.
Logic is where we move forward from definitions that we agree upon together. We build premises, and with those premises we form them into a syllogism, which is an intended proof of a certain argument. I'll tell you how it doesn't go. I don't say...
No, wait a minute.
If I wanted to prove to you...
What you just... No, don't move.
I wanted to prove to you... Listen to me. If I wanted to prove to you that the sky is blue...
Yes.
And you told me, how are you going to prove to me the sky is blue? And I said, well, the sky is blue. Are you going to say, well, that's a great argument? Because that's what you just did.
Yeah, but what if the sky is blue?
See, that's not really even relevant if the sky is blue or not, because if I can't prove it to you, then my argument isn't very good, is it?
Why? It's blue, isn't it?
Well,
because I can't prove it to you.
But I can see.
How would you prove the sky is blue?
Blue. Here's how you define truth, right? The way
if I wanted to prove it to you, I would say, hey, look up at the sky there. When you see that there, it's blue. I wouldn't just
No.
tell you, hey, the
No.
sky's blue, man. Don't you know that?
You're wrong. You're wrong. You're barking at
wrong. Okay.
Well, I'll explain why, right? The way that you prove anything is through sensorial experience. That's the only valid proof. It's the only comparable proof. It's the only way to knowledge, right? Sensorial experience of a moment is the only reality that we ever experience in life. And that's a fact. In any given moment, objectively, right? Beyond that, it gets intellectual, and that's where you always get into trouble. But in a given moment of time, the sensorial experience is a valid experience. Now, there are exceptions to that comment. You know, you have people with colour blindness might vary that observation. However, that still fits into the realm of knowable variation, because you can validate this condition, right, and then prove, you know, with science, the variation and repeat the variation. But again, it's still in the realm of clear, objective knowledge, the experience. There are some other elements to that discussion that have to fit in the knowing side to complete the whole paradigm, but that's the way you validate. So in your example, when we're looking at the sky, if I look up to the sky and I report back it's blue, then
exactly.
It's blue. If you look up at the sky and you validate my observation, it's blue. If you look up and you say, no, it's red, then what we can do is suspect that you may have colour blindness as an issue.
All right, I get the analogy.
We can get that checked, right, to prove it. But the majority of people, on the planet will say it's blue. So it's blue.
Yes. All right, so how can we make that idea fit into Islam as bad or wrong or something? How can you, you know, do the equal? You get it.
Yeah. So what you have to do is you have to firstly discount anything that cannot be sensorially experienced. You know, so if someone comes to you and says, "There's a guy, he sits in the cloud."
Give me sensory.
Wait a minute. Let me answer the question. Wait a minute. Let me answer the question. Firstly, you have to, you know, lay out your ground rules and say, right, the way to reality is through sensorial experience, or at least someone's sensorial experience. That's the most accurate form of validating reality in this environment that we live in. So that means that if someone comes to you and says, right...
Oh my God.
No, seriously, if someone comes to you and says there's a big guy sitting in the clouds in the sky, how are we going to sensorially validate that? Well, they can't, but what I can do then is I can bring my research to bear and show how the Persian Emperor Cyrus the Great created that work of fiction, and show the exact text in the Bible where that was created. So that Bible verse was actually written. It's witnessed across the world. Everyone knows it and everyone can look it up. So that's a sensorial experience. We had those words written down, right? And if we look further into the book of Isaiah and just examine the whole story, you can actually clearly demonstrate a lot of the holes. Now, if you start, and we've got scholarship for 100 years that says the book of Isaiah, right, isn't what it purports to be. So all of a sudden, now we're sitting on territory that says strongly that there are holes in the Bible that really say that it's not the word of, not the absolute word of truth. But anyway, that's the beginning of it. You can then we get into the whole book and talk about a whole range of things that are wrong with the Bible.
So I'm going to ask you again. Can you show me?
Yes. What? Show you what?
How you're right?
I just explained it to you.
You said
where
there's some Bible verses and there's some research on the God that might about. Okay, but how is Islam bad? How is that even relevant? How's it even relevant?
Hey?
Do you get what I'm asking you? Do you get what I'm asking you?
No, what you're supposed to do is prove where I'm wrong. So I've given you an answer.
I did prove how you're wrong.
How?
Literally. I don't mean to pull at you, but I did prove you wrong. I showed the complete logical fallibility of your intended, like, not even, but pseudo-syllogism. Like, what are you talking about?
Tell me
I'm sorry,
how.
but you're frustrating me
No, I'm not. I'm
horribly.
Fine. I'm fine. Just tell me how. I'm not understanding how you've picked my argument apart.
You don't have an argument to pick apart. Your argument is a statement. You have a statement.
Wait a minute.
That's all it is. Islam is bad because Islam is bad.
No.
That's what you said.
Let's start again and see if we can pay attention this time, right? We spoke about this premise of the sky being blue, and I said that the way we could validate that, and pick this one apart first, perhaps that might be easier.
Oh, dude, please don't do this again. Please don't do this
again.
No,
I will, because you're trying to avoid it. You're getting called out for.
I have no problem with empirical observation. My problem is you aren't giving me any.
Just keep it simple, mate. Right now, you said that we'd have trouble validating that the sky's blue. I say to you, you're bullshit, right? We can easily validate that the sky's blue because the majority of people on this planet in observation will recognise it as blue.
Is that not? So how do we validate that Islam is bad?
No, wait a minute.
Isn't that the topic?
Wait a minute. Is that not correct?
No,
wait a minute.
It is correct. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Well, hold it there.
How do you stretch that to apply to your point?
Wait a minute.
That's where you have to do it.
Wait a minute. No. I'll do it logically.
I can look up at the sky. I can look up at the sky right now. I can look out my window and see that it's blue. No, I can't look out the window. I can't look out the window and see that Islam is bad. I don't see that out there, man. I'm sorry. You're going to have to show me.
Wait a minute. We're going to do this step by step because you always try to rest. You always try to rest on your bullshit logic rationale. Now, so we've discovered that we can agree. Yeah, that's right, laugh. But you've discovered we can agree on the sky being blue. So I can make the statement that the sky is blue, can't I? And be right. Yes or no? You're getting weak, mate. Come on, step up to the plate. Can I not say that the sky is blue and be correct? Yes or no? What's the matter, mate?
I like you, man. You're awesome.
What's the answer?
Hilarious.
Yeah, there are a few more details to proving the sky is blue, but can we just fast forward to the part involving Islam?
Oh, no, let's just get his answer on whether I can actually say that the sky is blue.
Okay, then can we get the next step after this?
Yeah, whatever. So, am I right in saying that? Can I say the sky is blue? Based on sensorial experience? Yes or no?
It would take more to be fully justified.
Hey? What's that?
It would take more than an individual's sensorial experience to be justified.
Why?
Essentially, the questions of what is blue and why is that expected to be consistent and so on and why is it related to the sky are the missing pieces.
Sorry, say that again.
The parts of what is blue and why is it related to the sky are missing unexplained pieces of the justification.
Bullshit. If I look out the window and look up at the sky and it's blue, and all the people on the planet validate that by the people that have some sort of physical ailment that we can verify, then the sky's blue by observation.
Not just by observation.
Nah.
You need some additional
why?
Causal reasons to actually relate the argument ad populum so it's not merely a fallacy.
Nah, that's bullshit. I think you're making up stuff.
No, it's...
No, we've reached agreement on this.
What she's trying to tell you, Rob, is that just because everyone sees the sky as blue and we agree that it's blue, that doesn't mean it is blue.
Well, it does for the senses, right? And that's what my point. My point is that
the senses don't matter.
They don't
matter regarding truth, Rob. That's the point. Now, can we get to Islam? Can you prove how Islam is bad? Because you're avoiding the issue. I don't think you can do it.
No, I'm not. No. So do we agree, though, that by observation alone, that we will, by and large, the major part of the population will validate that the sky's blue, and if they don't, we can find a way to explain why there's a variation. Do you agree with that observation? Yes or no?
Yes, good. Rob. Everyone agrees.
Stop there. Let's move on to Islam. So, here's the thing with Islam, right? If you look at the book of we can go back to the book of Isaiah and the book of Daniel in the Bible. Both of those books are written post-mortem, or post the events that they allegedly predict. So they are, by nature, fallacies. They're not a prophecy, right? Now, my book sets out to prove those points, right? So if that's the case, let's skip past that. But if you want to test it, you're going to have to read the book, right? But let's assume that bears out to be true. And there's a lot of evidence that I bring to point out that it is more probable that that's true than there's a sky daddy in the sky. If that proves out to be true, well then what that means is that the people in 160 BC that wrote the book of Daniel and the book of Enoch and the book of Jubilees made that shit up. Now, if that's true, they made up this six-winged angel called Gabriel, and if we look back at Zoroaster and have a look at his image, we find that he's got 6 wings, or three petitions each side. Another whole story. But if that premise is true, well then what does that say about Muhammad? It means that Muhammad has made his shit up. He didn't in fact speak to a angel Gabriel in the cave at all. It's more likely that the Pharisee, I've got the guy's name, but anyway, it's more likely that this individual, or as Reuven would have it, Reuven, you would say that this particular rabbi may well have been Muhammad, but either way, then we have a way of explaining, well, how did he know certain things that he knows about the Jesus story and the Torah? Well, it came through that rabbi, and that's the birth of Islam. So it says it raises a big question mark, at least, around the function of Islam. But then, if you then get into the work of Dr. Bill Warner, I think it's Warner, you actually get a deeper insight into the religion itself and the many flaws within it. You know, how they basically almost build a love-hate relationship with the world. So they love their own, but they hate the rest of the world. Now, that's not a...
Bro, you talk way too much. You prove way too little.
No, it's all it. I just did.
You're saying, oh, if we assume all this is true, what I said in my little book that I can't remember what the guy's name is who's about, then Daniel and everything is all bullshit. It's all bullshit.
No, I've got those.
If we assume it's all bullshit, then it's all bullshit. And if we accept that it's all bullshit, then we can all agree it's all bullshit. Well, guess what? No, that doesn't work for me, because your argument is all bullshit.
No, it's not. For you to validate that premise, you've actually got to read all of the things that I'm offering as my evidence, but you're too lazy to do that, mate. So the only problem here...
I hate to break it to you, but nobody...
Wait a minute.
Nobody's going to read that book. Nobody cares. You're going to be a failure. No copies will be sold. You'll make no money. Nobody will listen to you, etc., etc., etc.
You don't see your own problem, right? Because you sit there, right, and you say, give me the evidence, I offer it up, but then you refuse...
Give me the evidence. You talk for an hour,
wait a minute.
You want to interrupt me when I say anything. I get one sentence out, you say, oh, stop there. You just say one thing, I give you one answer, then you don't give me an answer at all. You say a bunch of stuff.
Wait a minute.
You
I'm
are
pointing
like,
at
you're like
your problem.
incredibly neurotic. Do you know what that word means,
No,
neurotic?
no. Well,
Very
prove
neurotic.
that. Prove that case. No, what I'm
You prove it
saying.
yourself.
What I'm.
You
What
prove
I'm
it quite
saying.
well.
No. What I'm saying to you is that listen carefully, right? Because this is what you're doing, and you're calling me out for assumptions. I've made no assumptions. I've got my research and I've got my evidence. I've put it out onto the table. What you've done, though, very clearly, and you can't deny this.
I have yet to see any evidence.
No, you're making. Well, you've got it. I'll offer it to you. Are you going to read it?
Read your book? No, I'm not going to.
Why not?
Because it's bullshit.
Well, how do you make that conclusion?
Because you just told me it's bullshit.
No, I didn't. You've
Because
assumed
you're
that.
bullshit. I have listened to you talk for about
but you just,
half an hour now.
No, wait a
Do
minute.
you really
Those
think that I would read a book you wrote? Do you think that I'm crazy?
Well, no, here's what I think about you. I think that you're rather ignorant, and when evidence is offered, you just rest on your assumptions, your paradigm of the world. You do. Well, no, that's the fact of what's happening. I've offered up the evidence. You're the one refusing to actually review it. That's a fact. You've just said it yourself. I won't look at it.
I really feel bad for you, man. Like,
but that's a cop-out, mate. Don't feel bad for me. I'm fine.
Can't help it, bro.
Cop-out. No, I've offered the evidence. You're the one that's refusing to look at it, and you're the one that's making.
Yeah. But what is your problem with Islam?
Now you're diverting. You need to acknowledge.
Let's
wait a minute.
Because this is getting fucking boring. All right.
No.
It's
What's
really
happening,
fucking
mate?
boring.
No,
You're boring as shit out of the room.
No, that's not true.
What is your problem with Islam?
What's happening is that you're getting upset because I'm calling you out as a fake.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I admit you're right. Okay, you're right. Islam is completely false, bro. Now, what is your problem with it?
Wait a minute. Acknowledge first that you're being upset because
I'm upset.
You're being called out. Yes, you are.
I'm being called out. You called me out. I'm upset about it. Now, what is your problem with Islam?
Well, I just explained it. It's a major problem for the world. It's the precursor to a lot of violence. Hey?
Violence.
Well, have a look at Iraq at the moment, right? You've got a group called ISIS, right?
So what about the Sufi?
They are Muslim.
You ever heard of a Sufi?
So why? What's that got to do with it? What's that got to do with it?
Sufis are Muslims, right? And they preach complete nonviolence, right? You know that?
Yeah, but I said at the start.
You hear about that? So you see.
Well, I have more questions, actually. So, what are the?
You're a fair dinkum idiot. You got nothing.
Well, Rob, I mean, for instance, what are the major divisions within Islam?
Huh? Sunni,
what are the major philosophical divisions within Islam?
Sunni and Shia, isn't it?
Okay, what are their philosophical contents?
Well, Rob, you're clearly an expert.
Like, okay. They have to do with successors to the Prophet, yes?
Yeah, well,
Sunni
what
versus
happened?
Shia?
What happened when he died off? There was a political fracture.
Can I give you some advice?
There was a fight for the
I have some
governance.
advice that might help you in the future.
And that's why we have that. That's why.
When you're gonna write a book on something, Rob, you should probably know a little bit about it.
No, the book that I wrote.
It might help you. Hey, Jerry, it's a good idea, bro. Listen to me. It's a great idea. It might help you.
Wait a minute, mate. You're just trying to save your ass. Now, the book that I wrote was about religion 540 BC to 325 AD. It didn't cover Islam. But I know that the Islam story is a lot later nonsense. Made up. Yeah. So you don't have any.
Explain what the
just to cover your ass. That's what's going on with you.
Can you explain how the Sunni and Shia differ philosophically apart from their notions of the successor to the prophets?
I don't care really. Only care just to attack the basic premise of Islam at the roots.
That is a bit problematic. I mean, the Kharijites, the Sufis, and Wahhabis, and everybody else are all kinds of these philosophical variants here.
Rob, what is the premise? What is the premise of Islam, Rob?
That Muhammad went to a cave, spoke to a fake angel Gabriel, claims that he's the last prophet, and yes, it is.
No.
Yeah, he got his revelations from Gabriel.
So that's in the Quran? Oh, you haven't read it, have you?
Yeah, I have, back to front, but a while back.
You have? Okay, so tell me what verse that Muhammad sits in a cave and talks to Gabriel.
No, I don't have to do that. It's well
okay, you don't have to do that?
Oh. So he got his revelations from the Gabriel.
So you don't have to prove everything you say. I get it.
Yeah.
It is funny, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, actually.
So that's
Islam is bad?
Yeah, go ahead.
They kill dogs for no other reason than they're dogs. And I will consider them bad until they collectively decide that's a terrible thing.
Who's got the echo on?
That's me, sorry.
Oh, okay. So, thanks, Nadia.
Kill dogs?
Yeah, they kill dogs.
So you're saying, if I want to be a Muslim, I need to go kill some dogs?
If you want to follow the Prophet Muhammad and his commands, yes.
So,
is it
Muslims can't keep dogs? I don't get what you're saying. You don't think Muslims keep dogs?
Muhammad said to not keep dogs and to kill dogs around Mecca.
Oh, is it? Remind me, Hylas. Is it the Ibadi that rejects Surah 12?
Huh?
Is it the Ibadi that reject Surah 12?
What? I don't know. What are you talking about? I don't read surahs and stuff. So you're saying that if any Muslim keeps a dog...
It's okay for you to pontificate, you know. You're a clown, mate.
So if any Muslim keeps a dog, they're going to hell. What?
I don't think it says that, but any Muslim keeps a dog is blatantly ignoring their prophet.
Uh-huh.
And it also says in one of their passages that they're allowed to beat women, you know. Try and have that discussion with a Muslim.
Yeah. So you're saying because Muslims kill dogs, which I'll accept that if you say that's true. That's weird, but I'll go with that. Muslims kill dogs, okay. And Muslims beat women, we all know that. So that makes it wrong. Is that what you're saying? I'm not trying to play devil's advocate here, but that doesn't exactly make it wrong to me.
Well, that's all it takes for me. I don't care about anything else. Once they fix that, we can move on to something else.
Yeah,
so
but there's also...
that's your only problem with it.
No, there's more. Well, those are the ones I want to deal with.
So those are the biggest ones.
Those are the ones I care about. Beating women and dogs, yes.
I see.
Now, but also, I think they've got they're up to about 270 million deaths that are associated with Islam over its journey. So it seems to have, or bring with it, historically, a lot of political violence. It just does.
So does life.
Yeah, but Islam sort of has an over-representation of political violence in its history. It's a bad thing. I mean, you got those guys, well, if the news reports are accurate, those guys from ISIS, they basically shot a whole bunch of other Iraqis in cold blood, you know. So how is that a good thing? And, you know, is that being a good Muslim running around killing people?
I'm not asking you what anyone did in Iraq. I'm talking about Islam.
But they're Muslims, or they wave the Muslim.
Or they claim to be, or something like that.
Yeah,
what does that have to do with anything? I can tell you I'm a Muslim and then go around and do whatever the fuck I want, and then you're gonna go around saying, "Oh, this guy, he's a Muslim. He beats women and kills dogs and bombs."
Well, no, I wouldn't attack you as an individual. I'd say that.
Yeah, you would use me as an individual to attack a religion.
No. What I would say is, I would say following Islam isn't doing you or the world any good, because look at your behaviour. And you base that behaviour on this religion of yours. You justify your actions. It's like those suicide bombers, right? That were getting sex in heaven. They justified their actions on the religion. And they were probably brainwashed by some imams or some leaders in that faith. So these are bad things. You know, a lot of innocent people get killed because some nut thinks that he can go and bomb people and get a sex party in heaven.
You know what's funny?
No, mate. What's funny?
I'll tell you.
Yeah, okay.
Muslims or anybody? You're an atheist, right?
No.
You said there's no sky daddy in the sky, though, didn't you?
Correct.
So there's no God?
No. Well, there is a thing. That's why I called the book. No, that's why I called the book, What Is This Thing Called God? I asked that question.
Well, as you know, I have not read the fucking book, so it's not.
Well, I know that.
Hold on.
I know that, mate. And I know that, mate, and I know that you're happy to make your worldview based up on your assumptions. See? So I know that you're a bit of a fraud. Of course, that's only a behaviour. You could change it. Oh, here we go. What are you going to do now? Anyway. Yes, mate. What? What can we do for you?
You know, when you laugh, I just picture it going through your head like, yes, I'm going to kill all the Muslims.
No, not at all. Heavens forbid. That'd make me as bad as some of those radicals. No, it's not about that at all. What I'd argue is that they've been given the wrong information, right? And it's dangerous for our world, and there's a better option.
Yes, I'm very familiar with your position by now, Rob. Islam is bad. I get it. Now, how do we fix it?
Wait a minute. No, but you see...
That's what I want to know. Okay, Islam is bad, Rob. I accept that. It's horrible.
No, wait a minute, mate. I just want to point out...
No, I accept it, Rob.
I want to point out a problem.
How do we get rid of Islam, Rob? How do we do that?
I want to point out a problem, though, mate, if I could. So just hold on a second. You keep making assumptions, and you keep sort of making statements when you don't have all the information. You even take the liberty of saying that you know my position. You haven't heard it all yet. We haven't got through it all. You see, that's a problem, mate. You can't have discussions like that. You got to hear people out, and then, or if you're not sure, what you do is you say, can I get some clarity about your views on X, Y, Z, right? So you made assumptions that I want to see all Muslims dead. Well, I don't. Quite the opposite. What I'd like to see is I'd like to see Muslims enlightened to the bullshit story that they've been given and the harm it causes our world. And I'd also like to introduce them to the real Jesus story.
Rob, if you can't convince me, how are you going to convince Muslims who actually believe in that shit?
No, I think I'm getting through to you, mate. I think you're starting to pay a bit of attention. You sort of calm down a bit. And I think you're recognising within yourself some of your issues. I really do, you know. You're starting to level out a bit because I pointed out your assumptions and your fallacies, right? And I'll do the same with these other guys. I'll do exactly the same. But I'll respect them as individuals. I'll just point out their bad behaviours. and where their source is. That's all I'll do, and I'll just keep at it until no one listens.
And
But
what
at
happens
least
when they
Hey?
what happens when they point out your bad behaviors?
Well, go ahead. What are they?
I'm saying, what if they do that, Rob?
Well,
What are you
what
gonna
are
do?
they? Well, I don't have too many, so I'm
I
not
don't
really.
know. Oh, so
Well, you can point them out, mate. Go ahead.
I'm good.
No, you're not good, mate. It's just that you can't. You can't. You make getting up bullshit again.
Not convinced here, Rob. Like, that's what you're not getting.
What's that, mate? Sorry?
I said, that's what you're not getting, Rob. I'm not convinced here that Islam is bad. And I definitely don't see how you're going to rid the world of it by talking to people like you're talking to me. You understand? Because you haven't convinced me of shit, Rob. I don't believe in Islam. I don't believe in Islam. Nobody's going to read your book, Rob. You're not going to just go over there in the Middle fucking East and say, hey, read this book. They're going to burn your fucking book and shit all over it because they're going to call you an apostate and they're going to put your face up on some posters and then throw darts at it, Rob. That's what they're going to do if they do anything, if they even take you remotely seriously, which they wouldn't. You know why?
No,
because
mate,
I don't take you remotely seriously. You're not even my enemy.
Hang on, mate. I just
You're
want
not
to point
even
out.
going against me, Rob. You're going against them. How are they going to take you seriously? How are they going to see you not as a joke when you go over there and you don't know anything about Islam?
Well, we'll see, won't we? I've got to go and set up the group and get into it. But hey, I put a link in the chat window there. It's about political Islam. It's got some videos. Maybe you'll be more. Maybe you're not that lazy that you'll actually look at a video. But if you look at that video, wait a minute. There's a whole series of them. If you look at them, you'll get a heap of evidence of the flaws in Islam, and it gives you all of the literature.
I'm gonna let you in on a clue here, Rob. I don't care about Islam.
You might. Hey, where do you live? America? Where do you live?
I live on Earth.
Oh, okay. It's a secret. Right. You might, because Islam's on the rise and it's getting some political...
I really might not, Rob. Really might not watch those videos and might not read your book. Might not ever even remember I even talked to you. Might not remotely take you seriously at all, Rob. Right now, I might think you're a joke, buddy.
That's fine, that's fine.
I really might.
Good for you, mate. Anyway, we've probably taken up a lot of this good people's time, but I think you've got a lesson in life, mate. I really do. You have to work a bit harder on your facts, and you shouldn't make assumptions. If you don't know something, what you say is, I don't know. Right? Simple, easy, but don't make assumptions. So that's a good life lesson, buddy. You young guys, you're just full of it. Anyway, sorry. The current topic is Islam is wrong. According to Rob and they are discussing it sort of more or less ad hominem as your friends to. Yes, Joe, that's true. But sometimes, Joe, that's the only way to deal with it. It's a difficult topic.
Well, I've hit people for not knowing the content of feminism to critique it. I think similarly with Islam, you're in trouble.
Probably, but it doesn't matter.
And I think you're in more trouble because I think your whole thesis on these Pharisees in Persia and such
No, that's not wrong.
is quite at variance from Orthodox scholarship here.
Yes, I understand. But it's still not wrong. And you're welcome to try and prove me wrong.
Rob, I think your problem is you have a messiah complex. She just told you it goes against orthodoxy. Now, do you think you're smarter than these people who've actually studied the subject?
No,
I don't know, man. Somehow I don't find it very likely.
Well, you haven't read it yet, mate. You haven't read it.
I haven't read it yet. I'm not gonna read it, Rob. The book is trash.
you made an assumption there. Now, I'll just point out a couple of things, right? Firstly, scholarship for 100 years have said it's highly unlikely that a guy called Isaiah wrote this book of Isaiah. That's 100 years of scholarship, right? Scholarship says... Scholarship... No, hang on, mate. Wait a minute. Egyptologists and archaeologists for 100 years have been looking for evidence of an Egyptian...
Have you gone and talked to these guys? Have you read their books? Have you read their articles? Anything?
Well, that's who I'm quoting.
Have you even looked up a Wikipedia page?
Well,
or did you get a book
are...
at Barnes & Noble's on Islam being bad, and you're going to write your own book now? It's kind of weird, Rob.
No, you're not listening. You're not paying attention. I've already written a book.
The
out there now.
Authorship of Isaiah.
Hey?
The authorship of Isaiah and the non-veracity of the biblical Exodus are both pretty orthodox. The trouble is what comes after it, and Rob's little thesis here.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Nadia. What you're ignoring too quickly is that puts a major question mark around the book of Isaiah. So if it's fabricated, what's its
premise?
There's
a major question mark around your entire personality because you are trying way too hard to convince us that Islam is bad, Rob.
Your ego's
way too hard.
Mate,
you
your
really
ego.
don't like it, Rob. You're not coming out here with any scholarly lack of bias, Rob. You're not coming out here with a search for truth. You're coming here with an agenda. How am I going to trust you? Especially when all you say is Islam is bad and no one wrote Isaiah and all this crap that has nothing to do with Islam. Like, are you serious? For real?
Yeah.
You're literally trying to say that the authorship of Isaiah is in doubt. Therefore, the angel Gabriel does not exist. Therefore, Muhammad did not see him. Are you serious, bro? That ain't logic. Like, I'm sorry. And anyone who ever had the misfortune of having to review your book for some kind of issue of something, if that ever was even possible, which I don't think it is, if anyone had that misfortune, Rob, it would be a very big misfortune, but they would very quickly, Rob, they would see through all that shit, and they would see that this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So you might as well not pick up this stupid book he wrote because it's full of shit and everything he says is wrong.
Yeah. Have you finished? Yeah. Okay. Now, what's happening with you now, mate? Your little ego's a bit hurt. It just is. It's just the way humans work, right? So you're a little upset. I want to point out some more problems for you, right? Now, pay attention. What you just did is you went through
Let me
finish.
What about that, Rob? Don't assume things.
I let you finish, right? So let me. No, wait a minute, mate. I let you finish.
Anyway.
I let you finish.
Why would my ego be hurt, Rob? I just want to know that. Like, am I a Muslim? Do I have any kind of personal tie to this issue, Rob? Why would my ego be hurt? I'm just worried about you, man. Really, you're in a lot of pain, bro. A lot of pain. You're very confused. You're having this kind of crisis in your life or something like that. And, it's...
Oh, you're killing me, mate. Hey, listen, I'll explain to you why your ego's hurt, right? Your ego's hurt because I called you out for being a fraud, and you weren't able to really bring anything of substance to say, well, hang on, no, I am really well informed. You use the typical lines that immature people in the theist-atheist debate use, all the throwaways. You consistently use them. When I pointed that out, that's where your ego got hurt, mate. It did. Now, what you've been doing is you've been resting on assumption, and you won't drift away from it. So that's actually what a believer does. What a believer does, they have their own worldview, and they lock into that worldview, and when they hear alternate information that doesn't fit their worldview, or, they're just defending their bloody ego or whatever, right, they just avoid all of the evidence completely. They just won't even participate in it. And that's a common phenomenon. You'll get it from theists, you'll get it from atheists. Anytime someone gets challenged on their worldview, that's an attack on this thing called an ego. And that's exactly what's happening with you. So what you do to get by is you make assumptions. Then you do things like you try and subtly attack the person that's attacking you in a personal way. So you bring out the personal attacks. You do. It's what happens. You know, you want to watch this back, mate. I mean, I've seen this behaviour 1,000 times. This is what people do. And then you just rest on assumption, and you will not look at any evidence to the contrary. Now, I've offered the evidence. It's not my fault if you don't read it. What can I do? I just got to accept that reality and move on. So I'm happy. But you notice you went into the personal attacks, and then you tried to make yourself look good. So that's another behaviour pattern. So what happens with the a believer, right, and that's what I think you are, what happens with a believing person, they try and save face all the time. So you're trying to make yourself look good while you make me look bad. If you can secure that outcome, then bang, I guarantee you'll be off. You'll run away from the debate. And that's just common behaviour. That's just what happens. It's just behaviour, mate. Doesn't mean that you're an arsehole. It's just behaviours. You're a good bloke, I'm sure. But it is what it is. You're making up assumptions as if they're reality. And that's the exact thing that belief is all about. It's exactly what it is. Anyway, sorry. Nadia, what were we talking about? Oh, I've quietened the room again.
I think we were trying to get a survey of, well, what on earth the Muslims actually believe to, well, say something about it. Like it's bad.
Yeah, well, you could, but I mean, I'm not sure what that would serve in the bigger picture. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start a group up. Oh, I've got that echo again.
Yeah,
that's all right. What I'm going to do is start a group up or some sort of chat. I might use Paltalk, and I'm just going to say say no to Islam, yes to Jesus, and just see where it goes. I don't know which way it'll go, but I'm going to start it just for the heck of it. Because, you know, I just don't like Islam at all. Oh, there you go again, Nadia. Just a little bit. I'm still getting that echo.
Yeah, I'm trying to jump in. That's why.
Oh, okay. Well, jump in.
Yeah, I think there's going to be trouble claiming the standing to criticize Islam without actual knowledge of, well, what it actually claims in its, you know, various basic theologies. I mean, being able to say, okay, this Christian stance is Calvinist, preterist, theistic evolutionist, annihilationist, whatever. You know, it gives you a good idea of what differs between Christians and, you know, where they stand on the various points where they differ. If you can't really do the same within Islam, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Particularly as you have, you know, pacifist Sufis and such, when you're critiquing other sects of Islam for violence.
Yeah, I kind of look at it this way, Nadia. If you build it, they'll come. I reckon from what I can gather, there's a lot of people around that really have their argument together when it comes to confronting Islam. They just do. There's a lot of people that are really well informed, and they bring some credible arguments. So the guy, that Dr. Bill Warner is it? I better get that right. Bill Warner, right? That guy has really done some really great work, and he's well researched, and it's quite credible. So, you know, all of the information is there. It's just a matter of pulling it into a forum, I think, and trying to give some sort of focus. Because, you know, at the moment what happens, you just get Islam people and Christian people in a freaking room, and they just want to kill each other. It's pointless. That's just serving, I think, some ulterior motives. what would be better if you actually got those people onto a bit more of a level platform, and then somehow try and it'll take time, I'm sure, but somehow try and get them to look at the facts, because the facts speak for themselves. It's not a good religion, and it's really bringing a lot of harm to our world. It's plain and simple. It's always done that, and it always bloody well will be. So it's time to call it out. So it doesn't matter so much whether you got all your facts, I don't think. That'll come in time.
Well, you can say that about almost any of the religions, and arguably with 700 million more, Christianity seems to have potential to do more damage. And granted, maybe Muslims are blowing themselves up here and there with I don't know what they are, pipe bombs or little C4 vests or something like that. But you've got fighter jets dropping whatever kinds of huge bombs and stuff all over Iraq and whatever. So the amount of firepower Islam has to do any damage with is rather limited compared to Christianity. And you're going to have trouble with your rationale. And not just that, your rationale is also neutered by, ignorance of Islam. So.
Not really. I don't think so. I think if you start on the right direction, you can just sort of keep the course. Those things get sorted out. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Anyway, we'll see. Sorry, even someone else who agrees that Islam is bad and should be removed will see us as a joke and swear on their good name.
Well, I'm not exactly a fan of Islam.
Oh, okay, that's you.
Yet there's a bit more of a question. I mean, let's say, Hinduism is a problem, isn't it? I mean, India has nuclear weapons.
Yeah, no, Nadia. The question I'm only going to talk to is, in that forum is not here, so I'm not trying to censor you or anything, but is I'm just going to say no to Islam, black and white, not really worry too much about other contexts. And here's the thing, right? Given a choice, Nadia, here's a question for you, right? Would you rather see a world with Islam or without Islam?
Well, pretty much all. If you ask that about any religion, I will say I would rather see a world without it, including Christianity, including Judaism, including Buddhism, Jainism, all that stuff.
Fine, but for this particular forum that I'm going to set up, would you say that you would support no Islam? Yes or no?
It depends on the manner of execution.
Say no, Nadia.
The way you're doing it.
Get you to go to his little group.
No. I mean, you have no discussion of Islamic theology. I mean, if you started up like a Google Plus community and went on discussing about, contradictions in the Quran, the deity of the Quran being an immoral monster on the basis of its various commands, basically analogously to the way Christians do their thing. And of course, critiques of Islamic theology, like the whole infinite punishment for a finite crime issue of non-annihilationist Christian theologies, and you do similar to whatever the Muslim equivalent of soteriology is, and you go on with that and actually know what I don't about Islam to name the names and cite the sources. Then you have some credibility in saying, okay, Islam is bad and so on. the way you're doing it is not going to get off the ground at all.
Well, we'll see. We'll see now. Yeah, but I still want to come back to that question. You as a person, what's your view about Islam? Would you prefer to see a world with it or without it? Just a yes, no, if you can. Just your personal preference. If you had a choice, wave a magic wand, what would you...
Well, this is a Roy Montero-style loaded question.
Well, no, it's not really, because do you have a position or not? Just say yes, I have a position, or no, I don't. It's asking for your position on the question.
I have a more complex position than you're giving me room to answer.
Well, I understand that, but does it sort of... Do you have any goal in mind with relation to the existence of Islam? Do you have a preferred outcome? I'm just trying to get to what's your position. Stop sitting on the fence, son.
So, in Christianity, there are various denominations like Episcopalians that are LGBT friendly and so on and so forth. And to the extent that I care to have Christianity around, that's about the only brand of Christianity I would tolerate. To the extent
No, the question is...
that there is any kind of Muslim analog of such. And it's more than just LGBT, it's numerous other social issues. And I guess maybe also theological. I would like to see a similar outcome within Islam.
Just trying to make sense of that. So it sounds to me, are you saying that you'd accept a modified Islam? Is that what you're saying?
You might say moderated more than modified.
That's interesting.
And there are moderate sects within Islam floating around somewhere. So just, push everybody back to those.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you. I understand that. All right. Yeah, I don't know that would serve any worthwhile purpose, because you can still have the religion, right? For the person, if you sort of eliminate all of the belief nonsense, all of the fictional stuff, they all look very much the same at the end of the day. It's this disconnect from power that's important, I think. That's the real issue. You just don't allow religions to have any influence at all on power. And the only way I think you could do that is actually dismantle them, basically, and come up with some different form. Because at the end of the day, there is a common thread that runs through them all. There just is. Without the bullshit. Anyway, it'll be an interesting journey, I'm sure. Hey, Hylas, you sleeping? Or you meditating?
So what's the common thread that runs through Hindu nationalism and the BJP?
Well, no. When we talk authentic spirituality, you've heard me bang on about this before. It's just those two wolves and meditation. That's it. That's the story. And it's fundamentally, but true spirituality is about being a herd member, not a bloody egotistical, selfish, self-centered individual. That's what it is. That's the story that runs through all of them, and they include meditation in the mix so that you can get closer to this thing called God. Shut down the thinking mind. That's it. It isn't any more complicated than that. That's the story they all tell. Look under the hood. And you don't overanalyze it, Nadia. That's the simple story.
Well, the trouble is you're not analyzing it adequately. You're oversimplifying grossly. You're not going to come to a valid conclusion by such measures.
Nadia, the only way you could appreciate my point of view is if you were able to effectively and accurately meditate, right, and do it well, and stop that thinking mind, and then you'll experience something. Oh, sorry, the other side of it is you have to be authentically selfless, so we've had that chat. You have to live out those things, and if you do, and you do it authentically, you'll see that in the experience, you'll probably get a better view of what I'm talking about, because, well, this is why the debate's all so difficult, because people always argue from their thinking mind point of view, rather than talking about the experiential reality in their lives, with things like authentically selflessness being in the mix. If you all, if people would have, now I'm sounding like a bloody religious kook, but if you practice those things, meditation and authentic selflessness, then you get experiences that you could relate back to another person and find that common ground. Right. Well, while we argue intellectually, we'll never find frigging common ground, particularly when you've got bloody sky daddies and angels and devils and all manner of fiction that have no basis in experience, in the sensorial experience. None at all. They got nothing, not a thing. So, and that's always the challenge. But if you can get people to just think about that for a minute and just explore their own experiences in life, everyone lives life and everyone interacts with other people. And you Nadia, you know that better than most people, because you've had a challenging life, true. So you get to see some of the, selfish behaviours and how they play out and how it all works out. But also, from time to time, you'll experience people being kind and generous and what that means, and caring. See? So it is simple.
No, it's not. And
yes, it is. Yes,
your
it is.
big missive to stop thinking is a big red flag in itself.
Oh, really? Why so?
There's...
Rob, don't you get it? You're wrong.
Thinking.
No,
nobody's going to listen to you, Rob.
Well, you won't, mate. I understand.
Yeah, and you're
a believer.
notion of God, whatever. Where do you Shiva, Kali, Namagiri, Ganesh, Bahuchara, Mata, and the various Rakshasa fit into that? I dare say your account lays out quite a bit of the world.
No, but you're talking about this staged approach to get to the end game. I'm just talking about the end game. The end game is about becoming authentically selfless in every sense, even to the point of not thinking. Just getting rid of it. That's the end game. That's what they're all trying to achieve. It is. Look at them all. That's what they all talk about. Detaching the self and, getting rid of desire and all that.
And why is that a worthy goal?
Because what happens is that you actually directly begin to experience your world, and then you start to appreciate those experiences. So instead of living in a thinking, analytical mind, you're more inclined, by choice, to just jump into the experience of life, and that's where the joy and the meaning of life's found. It's found in the experience. You'll never find it in your analytical mind. Right? You can't think joy into existence. It's an experience. A valid, the valid experience of joy and the valid experience of...
It's an emotion, actually, which is
but the emotion
distinct
comes
from experience.
Huh? What? Sorry,
emotion is rather distinct from experience.
Sorry, say again. Emotion? Yeah.
Emotion is rather distinct from experience.
No, I don't think so. No. See, there we'll get into trouble with bloody terms and everything, but no. Let's just talk about the tear of joy, right? So I can watch a performance, and I don't plan to shed a tear, but there are certain performances that will touch. You could use the word touch me, and then I'll shed a tear of joy in that performance. Now, it might be the story of the person performing that sort of evokes that emotion, but I don't plan that event. It just happens. It happens in the moment. And it does, and that's the same for a lot of people. You just have those connections.
Well, in my case, well, let's say different, the same quote-unquote experience can lead to different emotions in different people. We are not quite all the same. We are not made the same. We haven't undergone the same experiences or same histories, and we are not in the same circumstances.
No, that's a fallacy. What you're doing there is you're
okay, if it's such a fallacy, then how much would you enjoy anal sex as the receptive partner with 15 men in rapid succession?
I don't think I'd enjoy it very much at all, to be honest. But here's the thing: you're bringing your real world reality, which is fundamentally. Oh, gee, this is a delicate area, so I don't want to...
Well, this is sensorial experience, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
but
it was the best thing ever for me. I was howling like When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
And cackling like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Rob, you're fucking crazy.
There, you're in trouble now.
You'll get over it, Harlan. You'll get over it one day. Anyway, oh golly, you've opened up a can of worms. But here's the thing, right? If I had that experience that you had, well, I'm not going to race out and grab it. I can promise you that. But although it may come to me one day, I might get locked up because I'm crazy, right, Hylas? And I might be accosted by a bunch of criminals in prison. So in that experience, I'm going to say that I could probably commune quite effectively to you on the sensorial experience of that event, and I think we could reach some form of agreement on the sensorial level. I've probably got no doubt. The thing is, though, I'm not going to choose it, as probably you didn't either. And there's not a lot.
I did actually. It was a night out at a club for me.
Oh dear. Oh dear. No, thank you.
Did you like it?
Hey? Sorry?
Did you like it?
Yeah, did you like it?
Well, yeah, I said I was, you know, like When Harry Met Sally and the Wicked Witch of the West and all that.
Oh, Nadia. Well, it's not my cup of tea. But on the sensorial level, though, I do want to point out that if I had the pleasure of that experience, we would be able to compare notes.
Well, sure. Give it a go, Rob.
No.
Well, I've heard from enough people.
You might like it.
I have a good idea of what it feels like for someone who's, I guess, not enjoying it and basically just uncomfortable.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an interesting point, though. So what you're saying there is, that's an interesting point, because you might have someone that's actually enjoys that sort of experience, but that's a presupposition, right? Because that's an interesting one.
Well, I went to the Cult of Fury in Wayne, New Jersey, and
what's that?
They put well, a whole bunch of needles right through my nipples.
Oh,
and yeah, it was pretty exciting.
Oh, exciting!
Yeah, it was more, well, When Harry Met Sally and the Wicked Witch of the West is coming from me. So I don't think that one would work out well for you either.
No, I can assure you. That's not my cup of tea. Hey,
or the beatings with spiky belts.
Oh dear. What do you? Oh, you know, that doesn't make sense to me. But then again, Oh boy. Well, I suppose I haven't lived broadly enough, but I'm okay. I don't need that sort of stuff. I can tell you, I'm quite comfortable in my own skin. So.
Well, it brought me plenty of joy, but I don't think it would you.
Yeah, that's funny. Why does it? Well, no. Is it joy really though? So here's joy to me, right? Joy is something where you're not conscious of yourself. You're conscious of something external in that particular moment, and it evokes a genuine feeling that's very much about, it's very closely connected to being connected in some form of sense. So I'm not sure that that would be joy. So why do you say it's joy? Can you now spare me the details? Can you just talk about the sensorial thing that you classify as joy? You know, that emotion.
Happiness, elation, pleasure, euphoria, and so on.
That's okay. Joy. Okay. So that's like, I suppose, that moment of ejaculation or something like that. Yeah, that's probably. I don't know that I classify that as authentic joy. That's something personal to the person. So that's about personal pleasure. That's not joy. Joy is something totally different. Joy.
Well, the pleasure doesn't necessarily have to be sexual. In the case of, say, well, most of the beatings with belts and stickings with needles, there isn't any sort of orgasm.
Yeah, but it's still about your own personal pleasure, right? So it's really the pleasure for the person. It's not about the partners in the experience, right? You're not necessarily concerned with their well-being. It's about your own personal pleasure. So that's sort of, to me, I don't relate that sort of sensorial experience to the good, if you like. Because see,
why isn't pleasure, happiness, elation, and so on, well, joy or otherwise some kind of worthwhile anything?
Because well, I mean, sure, it gives you some short-term feedback, but I don't think the long-term play-out is very. Well, it certainly doesn't work for the loving part of life, right? Because in that moment, it's really just about your personal desires. Now, desire, see, they advocate against that. It's about your desires being satisfied, and that's the primary element. Well, you see, in the Good Wolf story, it's about the other. So the pleasures you're talking about in sex should follow the love connection, and that would be a better outcome, I think. So I'm just saying that I'm not sure that it plays out well for the life experience, that sort of stuff, because people aren't respecting each other, right? They're just looking out for their own kicks, if you like, or their own pleasures. They're not considering the other, and if you're not considering the other, then you're not feeding the good wolf. That's as simple as I could put it.
I dare say otherwise. I dare say that people, I guess when they're working me over, consider me quite a bit in order not to cause excessive or lasting damage. I dare say that people involved with these things are actually moderately caring as far as interactions outside the main event. They're friendly in the manner of friends, at least.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't see it because, but I might be wrong. But again, the evidence is in the experience. So what you would expect that if you were ever in trouble or had an issue, you should be able to turn to those people if they're genuine, let's say the word lovers, then you should be able to turn to those people and they'll support you to the hilt, right? They will find ways to help you no matter what your issue is. Is that the case? Adia?
They are somewhat more distant. What are?
No, I'm going to have to have someone there. Don.
What's going on there?
Oh, Don's sitting there. Don came in, and Don was, I don't know whether Don was a lady or someone dressed up, but anyway, Don was sitting there in his underwear and spreading his legs. It looked like a lady. So I was just going to shut the video down.
Who knows?
Hey, sorry?
Maybe they're transitioning or something. Anyway, the main thing. What's that?
You can help them out. You might be able to help them out on the journey. Don. I'll say their name's not in
apart
the...
from advice, they can always find the groups that I moderate. Anyway,
here's the name.
The main thing is
Don Pickman.
What?
The name of the person is Don Pickman.
Okay, well I saw it, but I can't really chase them down.
No.
So the main thing is that they're friendly, but just like general kind of fair weather friend type things. So,
yeah. So
push comes to shove, it's kind of like, well, if you could show up and pay cover charges yourself, we'd hang out with you, but since you can't, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Oh, well. I'm still getting that echo.
Yeah, you will. I have to stop talking and then mute.
Yeah. So what are you on, a phone or something? Mobile?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. No, I look, honestly, I don't know that it'll work out, that sort of multiple relationship thing. I think it'd be better if, just one partner's fine, I think. It's fine. One good relationship will do. Less complications, no drama. Oh, Don's back. Oh, God almighty. Don, I'm going to shut your picture down. How do I do that? I'm going to just press the ignore button. You've ignored Don Pickman. I won't permanently block them. Not into censorship. Done. Oh dear, there's some funny people in this world. I was on a group yesterday and on Pal Talk. I don't know whether you've been to Pal Talk, and you can have your video image displayed, and these people were blocking it, and I said, well, why are you blocking the videos? And as it turned out, apparently there's a lot of people that get onto these forums, and they actually, they just display themselves and all the like. So the ladies, that's the reason that they block the video. So it looks like it's moving into this space.
Oh, yeah, it's been going on Google Plus for a while. 2 years ago or so, there used to be a big problem with people from like the Muslim world or whatever showing up and masturbating on camera.
Oh, I don't know. Perhaps the world's not worth saving. Better let it go to rack and ruin. Jeez, some crazy dudes. Unbelievable. But you see, can you not see how that's all selfish? That's just about the self. All those behaviours, they all come back to low regard for the other person and just looking after number one. That's all that's going on there. Simple.
Yeah, if that's the case, then, well, who's taking advantage of who? Well, no one is. It's consensual. It's mutually beneficial, and so on.
No. There's a deliberate acting there. So that person in that example you just gave, that Muslim person deliberately came on to cause distension by their act So they were conscious of that. And what they were doing was they were trying to upset their audience deliberately. So
oh, I thought you meant my nightclub activities.
Oh, no. Well, nah, Nadia, if you don't mind, I've sort of, I kind of get that now. I think I understand. And I think that you may not really have a full... Now, not everyone's got the potential, right, as far as I can tell. But I don't know that you have a full grasp on true joy yet. So have you had an experience where just out of nowhere you've just had that emotional connection, that sort of thing? Oh, God. This idiot.
Never just out of nowhere, no.
This Don is just... He's got to be a bloke too, I tell you. But this Don's just come back and put a picture on the chat. What is it? The Hangout thing. Dear, oh dear. Actually, I should have left him in the room because we could have talked to him. Could have learned something. If we could bear up with the images. I wonder, how do I unblock him? Nadia, how do I unblock him? Oh, Tom Pigman. Oh dear. Joe's left, unfortunately. Oh dear. It's a hard battle.
Men usually think below their navel.
Nadia. They've all gone quiet. Maybe it's something I did. Hey, John, can you hear me? Or are you muted?
No, I can hear you.
Hi. Oh, here we go. One new message.
Nadia, tell us about your nightclub activities.
Well, Nadia, I'm just going to pass on that one because I think I get. Although, before I buzz off, I'm curious. Have you had that experience? That connection to, it's empathy and a story. You know what I mean? It's just a spontaneous sort of emotion that comes over you, and you shed a tear, right? And it's really about the other, not the self. Have you had that experience?
You say some kind of spontaneous
yeah, you don't plan
emotion, not just like a... What?
Yeah, so what I'm talking about is like when you go to a funeral, right, for someone that you might have dearly loved, it's that sort of thing. But it's very spontaneous. It just happens, and in the moment you shed a tear, right? But it's certainly not about yourself. Have you had that experience? Or can you relate to that?
The things I've had that were like that were definitely about myself.
No, I'm specifically speaking about the other. Okay, well that's interesting. Okay, anyway, I'll leave you guys to it. I'm interrupting, I guess, so I shall move on. I'm going to go and start that group, see what happens. Happy days. Be good. It's in you.
So, Nadia, tell us about
for some hard flaming. Oh, what was that?
Tell us about how you got into this nightclub business, what you were talking about before.
The what kind of business?
When you were talking about how you used to go to nightclubs and, do what you did.